Title: The Sword Over TradFi, Bearer Assets, DeFi, and Future-Proof Property. Section 1, Introduction. In an age of accelerating government reach into private wealth, a quiet but profound contest is unfolding over the future of property itself. At one extreme sits the familiar comfort of intermediated control. At the other, the raw sovereignty of bearer instruments that no third party can touch. The metaphor of a sword hanging over TradFi captures the tension perfectly. Builders of open crypto systems have created tools so powerful that traditional finance cannot fully embrace their efficiency without also accepting the very elements, self-custody and DeFi, that threaten its old model of control. The core trade-off is straightforward, yet context-dependent. Tokenized real-world assets, abbreviated as RWAs, promise safety through issuers who can reissue tokens if hacked or lost, much like digital traveler's checks. Digital bearer assets, epitomized by Bitcoin, offer uncompromising censorship resistance. Once you hold the keys, no one can impair, freeze, or confiscate the asset at the protocol level. Which is superior depends not on abstract philosophy, but on the surrounding contextual cloud, the evolving landscape of taxes, monetary dilution, regulation, and technological acceleration. As impairments on traditional property intensify, bearer assets increasingly deliver superior optionality, the power to benefit across multiple futures rather than betting on one. This analysis explores why leaning into bearer sovereignty, DeFi, and self-custody may prove the more future-proof path. Section 2. Defining the two asset paradigms. Tokenized real-world assets represent the digitization of familiar property on blockchain rails while preserving a central issuer or custodian. A tokenized bond, real estate share, or commodity receipt carries an identifiable issuer who maintains a registry. If tokens are stolen or a wallet is compromised, the issuer can blacklist the affected tokens and reissue equivalents to the rightful owner. This provides a safety net that feels intuitive to anyone accustomed to banks or brokerage accounts. Historically, people have willingly outsourced custody to intermediaries for convenience, insurance, and recourse. The model aligns with conventional notions of private property managed through trusted third parties. In contrast, digital bearer assets operate on a radically different principle: possession equals ownership. Bitcoin and similar native crypto assets have no issuer. Control derives solely from private keys. Transfer occurs peer-to-peer across a decentralized network without permission. If keys are lost or stolen, the assets are irretrievably gone. There is no help desk to call. This creates both vulnerability and strength. The same mechanism that makes theft permanent also renders the asset immune to censorship, freezing, or targeted impairment by governments or corporations. It is true digital scarcity and sovereignty in programmable form. The advantages and risks are mirror images. Issuer-backed tokens offer recourse and psychological comfort, but introduce a single point of failure. The issuer can be pressured, regulated, or incentivized to act against the holder. Bearer assets eliminate intermediaries, yet demand personal responsibility and technical competence. One paradigm extends the old world of trusted custodians into the digital age. The other inaugurates a new era of self-sovereign property. Section 3. The shifting contextual cloud. The relative attractiveness of these paradigms is not fixed. It hinges on the broader environment, what we might call the contextual cloud. Today, many still default to issuer-backed assets because they mirror centuries of banking tradition and appear safer. Yet governments worldwide are systematically adding impairments to conventional private property, new or expanded wealth taxes, steeper inheritance taxes framed as clawbacks on untaxed generational wealth, higher capital gains levies, and capital controls are becoming more common. Simultaneously, ongoing monetary dilution, inflation that quietly erodes purchasing power, acts as a stealth tax on all assets valued in fiat currencies. These measures do not merely raise revenue, they redefine the reliability of intermediated ownership. When assets sit with custodians or issuers, governments can lean on those centralized entities far more easily than on millions of pseudonymous key holders. A tokenized real-world asset held in a compliant custodian can be frozen, taxed at source, or subjected to reporting requirements with a few regulatory strokes. Bearer assets, by design, resist such interventions at the protocol level. As impairments accumulate, the once clear safety advantage of issuer-backed tokens begins to look more like a leash. The contextual cloud is shifting, and bearer sovereignty starts to shine precisely when trust in institutions and monetary stability erodes. This content is brought to you by Bobby Giggs. Promote your brand here and reach a wide audience across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow the links in the description to get started. Section 4. Optionality as the superior framework. Rather than viewing the choice as a binary long or short bet, bearer assets enable something more powerful: optionality. In financial terms, optionality resembles providing liquidity in a perpetual market. You can profit whether the underlying moves up or down. Bearer ownership creates analogous upside across scenarios. If impairments intensify, censorship resistance protects value and usability. If technology advances rapidly, holding bearer assets gives skin in the game that incentivizes owners to master encryption, multi-signature setups, hardware security, and artificial intelligence-assisted tools. Even in a hybrid world, the bearer layer remains the ultimate settlement and freedom reserve. This stands in contrast to defaulting to historical intermediation. Relying on custodians outsources responsibility and dulls the incentive to innovate personally. Bearer assets force engagement with the frontier of digital technology. They reward those willing to lean into the inherent chaos of permissionless systems rather than seeking the false stability of walled gardens. Over time, this skin-in-the-game dynamic compounds. Better security practices emerge, new tools are built, and technological fluency becomes a competitive advantage. Section 5. The power dynamic. Builders, DeFi, and the sword over TradFi. Traditional finance increasingly recognizes the efficiency gains of blockchain infrastructure. Stablecoins demonstrate this symbiosis clearly. They offer cheap, instant, borderless transfers that traditional banking rails cannot match at scale, enabling mobile wallets for billions of unbanked individuals. Traditional finance needs these innovations to attract fresh capital inflows and sustain its model. Yet crypto's architecture is holistic. You cannot surgically extract decentralized finance, self-custody, and open settlement layers without losing the very properties that make the system superior. This creates structural leverage for builders. Self-custody and permissionless decentralized finance are not optional add-ons. They are foundational. Attempts to regulate or undermine them risk choking the golden goose. Traditional finance's motives center on control, risk management, and perpetual expansion through new participants. Crypto builders, by contrast, prioritize freedom, inclusion, and uncensorable rails. The sword hangs overhead. Traditional finance can adopt crypto efficiency only by tolerating elements that erode its traditional gatekeeping power. Builders thus hold meaningful bargaining strength in shaping how the two worlds converge, if they converge at all. Section 6. Human behavior, technological acceleration, and risk asymmetry. Humans are wired for freedom when it expands optionality. We consistently choose paths that open more doors over those that close them. Early attempts to contain the internet in sanitized walled gardens, such as AOL and similar intranets, ultimately failed against the open web's explosive growth and creativity. Permissioned networks repeatedly lose to open, chaotic systems that reward participation and innovation. Artificial intelligence is now accelerating this pattern further. It lowers the cost of standing up open infrastructure and enables individuals to create public spaces without depending on centralized platforms. In this environment, speed of execution and network effects become decisive. Artificial intelligence tools compress the time between idea and deployment dramatically. Those who move first in bearer assets and open decentralized finance protocols can capture outsized advantages through rapid iteration and mass adoption. High net worth individuals and institutions clinging to the perceived safety of regulated custodians risk becoming exit liquidity. Their slower, permissioned positions may fund the gains of agile first movers who secure sovereignty early. Convenience and limited loss recourse may dominate for average users in the short term, but in a world where ideas execute at unprecedented velocity, safety can equate to arriving last in line. Section 7. Conclusion. The sword over traditional finance is not mere rhetoric. It reflects a genuine power shift in how property can be held and transferred in the digital age. Tokenized real-world assets will likely continue playing an important role for those seeking familiarity and recourse. Yet as the contextual cloud darkens with impairments, and as technological acceleration rewards agility, digital bearer assets, with their censorship resistance, optionality, and demand for personal mastery, offer a more future-proof form of property. The trade-off remains clear: comfort and third-party safety today versus sovereignty and asymmetric upside tomorrow. Those who lean into bearer dynamics, embrace skin in the game, and contribute to decentralized finance's open innovation are positioning themselves not merely to survive shifting contexts, but to thrive within them. In the end, true digital property belongs to those willing to hold the keys and the sword.